Good morning and welcome in everyone. Before we get into this morning's update and to start the new week, as we wait for the USA to wake up, it's 7:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but it's only 4:55 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we usually look for that 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for the week to start. Before we get this massive volatility, as we can see right now, XRP is down 1.72%. Over the weekend, it did not hold up to levels where it would have kept us from falling further. The only thing we've done so far, but it looks like it's about to break through, is we've held this $2.13 area. But it looks like in real time, that's about to give way. We've come down below that. Now in real time, it's 214.4. We've come below. If this falls down, we'll just come to that next layer, which if we put it into perspective, $1.98. Somewhere between $1.98 and $2.04, which I think is very appropriate. We talked last week how we were starting to shuffle a little bit, and I was telling my audience, while crypto's having a little bit of a rough stretch, please pay attention to mining stocks. Even though gold and silver was down last week, it was as if mining stocks called bullshit on it, and they rose at the end of the week. And then at the very end of the week on Friday, they were down small percentages after the gain on Thursday and Wednesday. And now we see some kind of a flip here because gold this morning's up $67 an ounce to $3,356, up 2.05%. We've got the U.S. dollar currency index down to 98.83, so sinking pretty much. It's getting down there now. Gold silver ratio up 1.17% to 100.85, which means silver is still the better deal here, big time. Barrick Gold's up 1.36% in pre-market to 1942. B2 Gold's up 2.08% in pre-market to 344. Pan America Silver's up 1.93% in pre-market to $24.86. Silver's up 0.95% to $33.29 per ounce. First Majestic is up 2.27% in pre-market to $6.31. And Fortuna Silver Mines is up 2.22% in pre-market to $5.98. By all looks, this is going to be a stellar day for mining stocks, gold and silver. Not so hot for cryptocurrency. On Friday, I was asked, what would I do with spare capital? And I said I was waiting. I'm not buying anything. Unless I was looking at mining stocks on Friday. But as far as cryptocurrency, it looks like we were at that rejection point. Now it looks like we've got to continue to try to either back test this zone and hold here, or we go down to the next layer. And it seems to me that we should go down to that next layer. ZBCN's down 12%. MXC, please, on both of these, tell me you took profit. I've been telling people since it was all the way up here, and I was begging the profit. We bought it at 0.0064. I've already completely gotten out of this. I've gotten completely out of ZBCN, but we had magnificent runs last week. And now from the top, MXC's down 54%. And we'll see what it has in store. I personally believe it needs to come down and backtest these further areas. But we're starting to come a little bit closer, but that's just something to watch. We'll talk more about that in the live tonight. And we'll update ourselves on the rest of crypto. But for now, we've got to pay attention to XRP. We'll pay attention to the futures market as the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ are all down by 0.5 or 6% on the morning in the futures. So that is telling us that we're probably starting down, but we'll see. Good morning. 7:59 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday, June 2nd, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So YouTube gave me a warning for a video I did back in February of 2024. It was a live. I got a warning for something that's not even in the live. But when I appealed it, they rejected it. So now one more in the similar category, I'll have a week suspension. So we'll just, we'll see what they do. If they ever were to suspend me, obviously make sure you're in the Telegram. I know there's over 300 of you in the Telegram. It's in the video description below and or pinned comments of this very video. But that's a reason why you should be in there, just in case something were to happen. I've been doing this for over 4 years, and there's times that they do warnings and stupid stuff like that. Last such occurrence was in October. Then it takes 90 days to come off, and then by January it was off. But now, you know, a few months later, they go back and cherry pick something else. So just be aware if something were to happen. It's out of my control. But assuming they never suspend my channel, I'll always be here every day. But, you know, you can't control how entities do things. But anyhow, XRP sitting at $2.14.8. We're looking to see if we have some kind of inversion here that's set up now. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Unless we invalidate this structure, we could get volatilely hot here. The problem is just the local setup. It suggests that we need to go down to liquidity. And it also suggests that this could play out as a bear flag in the skies. And then what that, well, I mean, I guess you wouldn't call it a bear flag, but this is what you would end up seeing. Instead of this being like left shoulder, head, right shoulder pop out, you'd see more like this. And then when you come down, you'd be like, oh, well, that was a failure. And then you could see it as it is a rising channel that just ended up coming up. Like, bam, up to the top, down, up, down. Almost looks like a rising channel. Could be determined. Also like a bear flag setup in a sense. So, something I'm watching. I'd rather this just play out quickly so that we don't have to watch this for the next several weeks. I'd like to just see one quick dump down. Daily time frame. It's tough. We'll see how it plays out, because if it continues down this line, we could engulf going into tomorrow. Weekly's trying to engulf down, so that's a lot of movement to the downside. It just seems like to me this would be the week or the next couple weeks to do this, because if you're looking at the wider inverse head and shoulders, I think there's a left shoulder here, a head, but that means the right shoulder would have to come back down here like near that $1.97. Maybe these areas would be okay, but we'll see, because it seems like to me we got some awfully bit of volatility to the downside right now. But if we get a nice reversal here to start the week, maybe we could stop this bearish bias, and maybe we could start picking up some momentum. If we start falling down any lower as well with XRP, we can see we're getting very close to touching that distribution box again. And then I drew that line across to show you where I think if we were going to do something like this, this is how we could stop. But there's still the overall optic here that this pulls out a little bit, and then this wave 2 ends up doing something like this, and then we do fill these boxes. We fill that $1.50 gap, right? And then we come down to that $1.38 to $1.50 area, because we know that $1.34 maybe all the way down would be an area to watch. But it also looks like it's one gigantic wave 1 here, and we're in a wave 2 correction in the micro. But if you look at the macro, it looks like we are trying to persevere, trying to push into a wave 3. It just seems like we're still haven't been able to fully push out. But I suppose you could look at this slightly different. But I'm looking at it long-term, short-term. I don't think we're in wave 4. That's what I was thinking before. Last several weeks, I've kind of changed that thinking based on what I'm seeing. And it seems to make more sense that this is actually in a wave 3, or finishing a wave 2 correction, and we'd only be going into wave 3 instead of a wave 5. And I think that makes a lot more sense. And also, it's kind of like a gatekeeping why the price action's going the way it is. And I'm proud of the fact that we just watched the market do what it needed to do, and we didn't get over emotional and buy, because I want to see some validation. On data, the reason I didn't buy is because I didn't get that confirmation. I have something drawn out that until it does that, or it bounces out of the area, I'm not interested. It can do anything it wants, but until it drops out and it comes to my drawing, because that's what I was seeing on paper that made the most sense, I'm not interested. I don't care if it bounces up. I don't care if it fakes us out. I'm not interested in streamer data until it gets to the right spot. It's an ISO token. At the end of last week, it was ranked 899. There's 1.2 total billion tokens for their total circulation ever, so their max supply. There's 1.142 billion already in circulation. So definitely something to watch out for. But like I said, I'm not interested yet, and this could be a small flag that it's forming, but it's going to have to show me some kind of confirmation, because I can see a 35% drop coming if it falls out of this setup. So I would rather buy it 35% down than have to worry about it going 10% up and maybe having to buy it. So XCN's another one I'm paying very close attention to, and then I'll release this update. It had back tested, but I wasn't convinced that that was the area. I thought it might have to come up to this uptrend and revalue, and that's at 011. So we'll see, because it looks like it's breaking through right now. So I'm very happy with the fact that I was able to hold off here a little bit, because now it's on Bitunix. So now I'm going to buy XC on the next opportunity, but I think it's probably going to come down to that 0014, but we can't tell, because there's a very real chance you could have an inverse head and shoulder setting up. But to me, it makes more sense to have it come down here even. But we'll see how this plays out. Hell, it could even drag out sideways and end up hitting somewhere over here. But with that being said, this update's getting long. I got to get my son to school at 8:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bitcoin down 1,600. And it seems to me that it wants to fill this out. It's below the 200-day and the 3-hourly now. That's a bearish sign. 2-hourly got rejected. That's bearish. That's cross-formed. Looks like. Yeah, definitely formed. That's cross-formed. Same thing we talked about at the end of last week. That was a dead cat bounce there. Going back up to 111, 112. A dead cat bounce. We got validation from XRP being a dead cat bounce, getting stopped at 265. And what I'm looking at for Bitcoin is this drop down here to fill out this inverse head and shoulders. And I think 88K roughly to 90K area is dead on. I've been talking about this since the whole rotation up. This has been drawn out since before that even went up as high as it did. It just happened to reverse at the exact time where I drew it. So that's the confirmation there. And then we get the validation. Ethereum's down 2.2%, but Ethereum got rejected at the rising channel resistance after a breakdown. And we said even if bearish, Ethereum would come back up and retest that rising channel. Now, the caveat here is there is a golden cross here where the 20 crossed to 200 in the daily. It's just a matter of, are we going to lose this and come down? Because if you fill out this inverse right shoulder like on the left side, it seems to me we either need to come down to 2090. I think 2090 or 2070 is the area that I would be paying attention to. But with that being said, have a good morning, everybody. Be blessed. Don't let your emotion dictate your response. Try to fill this out before it happens, so then when it happens, you have a little confluency. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join the over, believe it or not, 42,000 subscribers. And make sure to join the Telegram just in case something were to happen to the channel. Like I said, they gave me a warning for something that I put out in February of 24. It's not uncommon for them to do things like this, but it is kind of frustrating at the same time. Because I push my channel on not pushing bullshit and not these expectations that are unrealistic. So what do? They give me a warning for having fraud and scams, for telling people they're going to make money, guaranteed like a lot of money in a quick amount of time, when if anybody watches my show, I do the absolute opposite, and it costs me viewers because of it. So it kind of is a kick in the dick in a way. So make sure you follow the Telegram just in case something happens. I can do lives on the Telegram, but if something were to happen to YouTube, follow my Facebook page, XRP Future Millionaire. There's about 5,000 people there. And right now, all I do is post the content from YouTube. And on TikTok, there's over 25,000 people. And I would just move my content over there while I was banned. That's it. So you'd always have a way to find me. I'm not banned right now. I'm just saying if the worst case scenario happened, make sure you see my other avenues. My website, XRPFutureMillionaire.com, should be ready here in the next few days. It's been a lot of trial and error with it. I'm on a dedicated server for 5 years, so it's going to be lightning quick as if you're on a Google website made by Google. There's going to be so much stuff. It's in a live XRP chart. There'll be so much more stuff that has to do with the ISO and IOTA on there. Ways to get a hold of me, different things that you don't see on YouTube. And who knows, maybe that'll become our medium exchange if something happens on YouTube one day. So just pay attention. I'll bring you updates. Make sure that you join Bitunix, lowest spot and leverage trading fees, lowest maker taker. Worldwide, they have XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, XDC, XCN, ACH. They've got data and so many more. And like I said, the futures market, we're not doing so hot so far. I'm in the Dow. But I'm going to release this, everybody, because I got to get going. I want to make sure you guys get this information. But the Dow, Dow futures have fallen about 0.6% on the morning. NASDAQ down. Dow down and S&P are down. So we'll see how this plays out. But we're down over 0.5% right now. So have a blessed morning, everybody, and I'll catch you on the next update. And don't forget to give thanks to Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.